So the title of this session is basically what happens with internet leads after the first minute, okay? So we presented this at Digital Dealer a few years ago, and a few dealer groups heard our session in the UK and asked if we worked in England. At the time, we were only a US-based company, so we didn't have coverage there. But after this event, we had a group that said, yes, we want to come aboard with you. Is there a chance that you will do this in England? And so we started that process. From that has spurred out the Netherlands as well, and South Africa. So we are in several different countries now. As a company, we work with groups like the Costco Auto Buying Program, which is a very large lead provider in the United States. We also work with General Motors, Ford, Honda, BMW at the top corporate level. We're doing a program as well with Hyundai right now. And any of you who are familiar with any of the Hyundai franchises may hear of it because they're rolling it out globally across their entire network. So a little bit of my background. I love to fish. Do you guys fish here in this country? No one fish? No? Couple times? Fishing is all about presentation, okay? I hope you guys' English is better than my Dutch, because we're in a rough spot if you guys can't understand me, because I don't speak a word of Dutch. One of the universal languages is fishing, okay? It doesn't matter where I go. I know if I present the bait the right way, I can catch fish in a body of water if I know what I'm looking for. Internet leads are very, very similar to that. I mean, there's really three ways that people reach out to our dealerships when they come in. If we learn the right mechanics, we can convert showroom traffic, phone ups, and internet leads all at about the same percentage rate. Okay, showroom, what happens when someone shows up at our dealership and we don't go out and talk to them? If they walk around the lot, have you ever seen somebody get back in their car and leave without being talked to? Happens all the time, right? I've spent the last 21 years in the car business. I've seen it hundreds of times, as most of you have as well, where people, you know, they pull in, they jump out of their car, they wave you off, get back in their car and leave. If we don't have a chance to talk to them, slow them down, sell them on ourselves in our dealership, we're at a huge disadvantage, because the next dealership they pull into, if somebody jumps out from between the cars and catches them, is going to have the best chance of selling them a vehicle. Same with inbound phone calls. Has the phone ever rang and you don't answer it? Or do you make sure that you have sales staff available to take the inbound phone calls? If we don't, they're going to hang up. They're not going to sit and let it ring forever. They're going to hang up, call the next dealership. They can get a vehicle multiple ways, and people are extremely impatient today. Takes me to internet leads. As a company, we started about 5 years ago, and we started talking to large groups. One of the very first stores that I went in and talked to was Universal Nissan. They're in Los Angeles, California. They're the #1 Nissan dealer in the world, okay? So if we're gonna get a dealership, we're gonna go big. We're gonna go after the top producers. We show up and they say, you can't help us. We're already #1. We're the #1 dealer. We don't care what you have. You can't make us any better, okay? Our processes are fantastic. So me, being fairly naive and not working at one of the top performing stores in the world, said, man, that's impressive. How do you do it? How do you respond to internet leads in 30 to 60 seconds? Because that's what we preach. That's what we believe has to happen to maximize conversion. And they said, well, we have a callback within 5 minutes every single time. I said, that's fantastic. Can you show me the process? We secret shop the dealer. Are you familiar with the term secret shop? Okay. Have you guys ever secret shopped yourself with an internet lead to see what kind of response you get? It's very smart to do, because sometimes there's processes in place that we're not aware of, and when we secret shop ourselves, we can correct those problems. We see lots of problems with dealers sending out emails that don't have the right name, templated emails that go out, and there's all kinds of different things. So I would encourage secret shopping. What we found from the #1 Nissan dealer in the country is that it took them 14 minutes to call me back, okay? They thought that they had a 5-minute response time. In reality, what they were doing is they were claiming the lead, they were stopping the process in the CRM, but they weren't actually picking up the phone, generating a call out to the prospective consumer who just gave them their name and information. So it was very educational for them to go through that process. It was educational for us. They're still a customer 4 years later. Okay, we're a month-to-month service, so they could fire us any month they wanted to. But the reason is, as an end result, what we see is when we can engage an internet lead the same way we would if they came into our physical lot, got out of their vehicle, started walking around, we're going to send a salesman to talk to them in the first minute before they get back in their car. If they call us on a phone, we're going to do the same thing. Okay, we want to engage them while they're on the virtual lot, not a few minutes after. As we'll see from one of the infographics that just came out from Google this morning, actually. So we now have customers all over. We won several awards from that, but what it is it's the process, okay? So some of the challenges that dealerships face, I mean, you guys face every day. One of the biggest things that NADA came out with a study a couple of years ago is turnover. I don't know if it's a problem here, but we have tremendous turnover issues in the States with salespeople. In fact, the study that was done in 2015 says that over 71.9% of the sales consultants last less than 12 months. So what does that cause? That causes all kinds of problems with processes, right? With the high turnover, we're constantly doing training because we have new people coming into a role that they have to be trained. Sometimes they're trained by people who haven't been there very long, and so those processes kind of get lost in translation. Dealerships really struggle with consistent brand messaging because of the turnover. The perception of the dealer isn't very good. If you've bought there before, you come back and you don't recognize anybody, right? So there's all kinds of challenges that come from this. One of the solutions that has to be implemented from an OEM level or from a lead producing level, like Marktplaats, for example, is implementing best practice or processes to make it easier for the dealership level to be able to engage and contact that customer. And we're doing some programs like that in the States right now with Hyundai, where they've rolled it across their entire platform, and they're finding that the dealerships, you know, some are slow to adopt change and some jump on it immediately when they're progressive thinking and understand the importance of that speed. So what's our main goal so that we don't lose that internet lead in the first 60 seconds, okay? Customer fills out a form, they submit their name and phone number to you. What's the main goal that we're trying to accomplish? Appointments, right? That's ultimately the goal. We're not trying to sell the vehicle. We listen to way too many calls. We were talking about call tracking here just a minute ago. I've been listening to calls for 10 years and monitoring calls, training sales consultants on words and phrases that maximize the results of the appointment to show. So our number one goal should be to contact the customer, okay? Now, is that an email? We know the open rates of email is about 4%, so we're not going to have very good success with a lot of things hitting spam and junk mail and things like that. We believe that when the customer's at their peak of interest, if you trigger a phone call instantly to them as fast as you can, you're more likely to get them on the phone, which will then, it's a numbers game, right? I mean, that's going to lead to more appointment sets. So one of the key problems that we see when we monitor, coach, and train dealerships is do not try to sell the vehicle. Don't give them enough information that they don't need to come see you, okay? When they click submit and they move on, engage them as quick as possible. Google talks about this. Think with Google. Have you heard of Google over here? Yeah, you guys have heard of them? Okay. We're speaking the universal language with Google here. They came out with a study a couple years ago called Micro Moments. Any of you run across it? Seen it? Couple people in here. Google's Micro Moments says today's consumers are more demanding than they ever have been. They demand immediate information. Google says it's very simple to get good lead conversion on internet leads. There's 3 key things you have to do. You have to be there so they can find you. If they can't find you, they can't give you their information. Okay, so we've talked about marketing. We know there's various platforms to be out there so the consumers can find you. The second thing is you have to be useful. Okay, if you don't have your websites up to date, if you don't have attractive offers, people are going to come and go. The bounce rate's going to be extremely high. So Be useful. Give them information that they're requesting. Once you've done that, they'll actually submit the information. So once your presentation's been good enough, you've been there so they can find you, you've been useful. The whole name of their study is called Micro Moments. It's called Micro Moments for a reason. They say you have to be quick. Today's consumers demand immediate information. It's called Micro Moments for a reason. Mobile users want to know, go, do, or buy swiftly. Their mobile experience has to be fast and frictionless, okay? We know that about 95% of people in the States start the process online. We also know that they're gonna fill out about 6 forms, okay? We don't know if we're first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth in the process. We know that they're on this journey. You know, the consumer experience is 90 to 120 days typically when they start filling forms out. But when they get to this point, they're going to fill out 6. They're gonna narrow it down to 6. They only visit 1.2 dealerships, so don't get eliminated because your process wasn't in line with actually making engagement with the customer, okay? If your chances of getting eliminated are 80%, move quickly, okay? It's the bottom line. Customers will drive further than they ever have. We see this in the States where consumers, if they're treated properly, the perception is good of the dealership, they will drive a lot further than they used to 10 years ago. Okay, they'll pass a whole bunch of other dealers to make it to that one. So bottom line, the salesperson to make phone contact first has a 238% advantage over the dealer that contacts them second. How many times have you called an internet lead back and they said, no thanks, I'm already working with someone? And you're like, they just submitted the lead, right? How can you not be interested? What happened? They submitted a lead somewhere else. Another dealer contacted them in the middle of that time. Your chances just drop dramatically to get them in the door. Okay, so that phone call, again, consumers today want to know, go, do, or buy. That's why they're, and they're using their smartphones much faster. In fact, the next slide just came out this morning, Think with Google, and it talks about how quick your mobile devices the web pages need to load, which is almost a daunting task, but I'm going to show you here in just a minute. So when they want to know, what should we do? Should we send them an email? Should we try to talk to them on the phone? If they've submitted their name and phone number, that's permission to, hey, let's get them on the phone as quick as we can to maximize these results as quick as possible. If they want to go do or buy, I mean, it's all, we don't know until we actually have a physical conversation with the potential customer what stage they're in. So the most important thing is to get them on the phone, okay? Number one thing that our tool has proven to do is help dealerships connect with more people. I have a slide coming up here with some stats, but it's a tremendous advantage catching them at their peak of interest. 10, 15 minutes from now when I wrap up, everybody will be going different directions. Your likelihood of responding, you're in the moment right now. When you get up and do something different, your chance of answering drops dramatically to that. So talk to more people when they're going from undecided to decided. First impression is critical. Everybody tells us, from the number one dealers to some of the worst dealers we work with, tell us that they already have a 5-minute response time. Everybody tells us that. They're conditioned to tell us, oh no, we already respond in 5 minutes, you can't help us. And then we secret shop them and we say, okay, yeah, it took about 40 minutes or 50 minutes for a phone call. So, that first impression is critical. Stand out from your competition. You want to be known for the dealership that creates what we call a wow factor, okay? This also will help you reduce competition. If I just click submit on a Marktplaats lead and I'm on the phone with one of you in 30 to 60 seconds, am I more likely or less likely to continue filling forms out? Less likely, right? Especially if you guys do a fantastic job when you get on the phone. Okay, that's one of our biggest challenges is actually getting someone on the phone. So let's catch them at that peak of interest. We call it the wow moment, and I'm going to play a sound reel. I don't know if it'll play or not volume-wise here. So. Nope, I don't think I have sound here. Do you have one of those on your phone? Probably not. Okay. So this just came out this morning. That's okay, I'll play it after. No? I'm out of luck, huh? Okay, so this morning I got an email. I follow Think with Google. This just came out this morning, February 2017. 53% of mobile site visitors leave a page that takes longer than 3 seconds to load. So check your mobile sites, because so many people are coming to us through that channel, and if our pages are big, there's a lot of lag in loading those pages. This is a number from Google this morning that says 53% of people bounce if it takes longer than 3 seconds. What does that tell us about today's consumers and their attention? And everything's moving extremely quick. So critical to make sure that your mobile sites are, fast. So this is what we've seen. The Galpin Group, have any of you heard of Galpin Ford by chance? Okay, Galpin Ford is the biggest Ford dealer in the world as well. They're one of our customers for about a year. Before they started using us, when they had their manual process, right, it doesn't matter what the process is. You can use a tool like ours. You can create your own processes internally if you can do it. I mean, it's just best practice to figure out how to respond instantly, how to make sure you have a team ready to respond to these leads when they come out. When they were doing it manually, the number one Ford dealer in the world, okay, they had all their data inside their CRM that said they were only talking to 12.5% of their internet leads within 20 minutes, okay? When they switched to our solution, they started talking to 1 and 2.5, where they were having conversations with more people at the peak of interest. So from going from a 12.5% connection rate to a 39% connection rate, if you can catch people before they move on to the next activity, they will answer the phone. Okay, might be different here. They may not speak English, so I can't talk to them, but they will answer the phone. Our tool has proved it over and over and over again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some data that comes from best practice in response time, catching these people before they die that quick death. That there was another study in NADA, I didn't include it in this, that came out a few years ago, that said at 20 minutes, 71% of the value of a lead is gone in 20 minutes. So if you're buying leads, if you're generating leads and you're not implementing the right process to touch base with them quickly, that 20-minute window is the killer, okay? It's almost all gone. So make sure your process is extremely fast. All right, so what gets measured gets managed. Talk a little bit about the Cambria Automotive Group. The reason that we expanded and moved into the European market at all, over in England to start with, when they came on with us, their internet close ratio was 8%. Now they have 45 franchises, 29 individual locations, okay, across all of England. And when they started with us, they had a 20 to 30 minute response time. Again, we secret shopped them. It was closer to an hour, all right? But they thought that they were 20 to 30 minutes in responding to internet leads. Their goal, Mark, the owner of the group, his goal was he came and saw us speak at Digital Dealer, and he said, I want that. I know that that's the difference maker for us, because as we've shortened our time of connection, we're getting more people on the phone at their peak of interest. So his goal was a 1-minute response. Today, across all 45 franchises, 29 locations, they have an average response time of 27 seconds, okay? Their current internet close ratio across their group is 20%. So they've moved the needle 12%. Now, did it happen overnight? Absolutely not. It took them about 2 years to get where they're at today. Okay, they've been using the tool a long time, but they started putting processes in place to shorten that window of engagement. Okay, today they're about as fast as any company out there. Okay, so not only should we be connecting quickly, but one thing that our tool has really pointed out to us is that if we help bad salespeople connect quickly, guess what we do? We just make them really bad, really fast, right? They're terrible on the phone. We listen to lots of phone calls, and some people get on the phone and they apologize. They don't take any credit or ownership. They try to explain that it was a tool that just caused this quick connection when the customer says, wow, that was quick. Now, we have a full suite of tools inside of our dashboard that we let the dealership listen, monitor, and grade basically their own performance. Okay, it's built into our tool. From that, we can see certain key things. Now, every single dealership is different. Some people want to know if warranty for life is mentioned on a phone call. Some people want to know if driving directions is mentioned. So totally customizable, but the end goal or end result is what are our appointment sets? What are we doing? Once we get on the phone quickly, are we converting into more appointments than we were before? Okay, so we give full flexibility of that. From that, it also helps with your lead sources. So one of the things that we've done for, this is one of our groups here across a 1 month period. I think it was about 6,000 internet leads that they received. We were able to break out and show them their total connected, the average response time on those, the connection rates, how many people they were actually talking to, and the length of their phone calls. Okay. Now where this is very valuable, you may be getting 3,000 leads from dealer.com. But if none of them provide a phone number, and a lot of them are after hours, then it's going to limit the percentage of people you can talk to at their peak of interest. So you really should monitor lead quality by times of day that they come in, okay? And I know even with tracking numbers, you'll get timestamps and things like that. Be able to see when your peak interest is. One of the things that Cambria, again, going back to their dealership group, that they saw was they were closing their BDC department at 6 p.m., but about 25% of their leads were coming in between 6 and 9 p.m. So they were closing right as the consumers' interests were peaked. So they created an after hours department basically to be able to handle these and make sure that the leads that were coming in from 6 to 9 p.m., they had someone there to respond to them outside of their normal, what they thought their normal hours should be. They were able to see that from these after hours, bad phone numbers. Again, we've had groups cancel different vendors and save money because they're coming in with all bad phone numbers all after hours. They can't make phone contact with anybody, okay? So some of that is very valuable information to look at. The other thing, and I won't spend a whole lot of time, this is that same group with 6,047 leads. This was in the month of December. They can look across all their different dealership groups and see what their connection rates are, what their average response times are. In fact, right here, how fast am I responding? Out of all of those leads, they had a 15-second response on 1,940 of them. They had a 30-second response on another, 15 to 30 on 1,700 more. And it's just non-acceptable for them to have anything outside of those numbers. So pretty much everything green over here was positive, and they had a sub 1 minute response to those internet leads. How long do the phone calls last? How many of us have heard people talk way too much on the phone? If you've monitored phone calls, you know that some people talk themselves out of an appointment or out of a sale, right? So one of the key things that we look for, even without monitoring the phone call, we can see length of conversation. So our sweet spot is anywhere from about 2.5 minutes to about 5 minutes in that window. And you'll notice the 1 to 3 minute calls, the 3 to 10 minute calls, we can see that, close to a little over 700 phone calls were in that right moment without really listening to the calls. We already know that there's some long-winded people, that 10 to 30 minute phone call. We've just given them everything they need to know to not come into our dealership, okay? They know every nut and bolt on the vehicle. They don't thank you very much. Now they don't need to come in, right? So we need to make sure that we're keeping conversations on point. That takes me to a few other things. Now, being able to work with some of the top performing stores in the world, I have lots of knowledge on what works on phone calls, okay? We see the good, the bad, the ugly. I've been doing it a long time. And one of the most effective phone scripts, just a little bit of information for you guys, when you do make contact quick, this is a very powerful way to go on an internet lead and convert it into a phone up, basically, okay? So one of the very first things that happens Lead comes in, we get on the phone, we call the prospect, right? One of the very first things that we've seen be the most effective is, hey, Mark, Forest at ABC Auto, how are you doing?
I'm fine then, Forrest.
Great. Hey, I'm glad I was able to catch you so quickly, okay? That one sentence changes the whole perception on that phone call. Man, they're glad they caught me quickly, okay? Look, the reason for my quick response, I understand that you were just on Marktplaats and you just came across a 2015 Audi A4 that we had advertised on their site. I'm getting ready to walk out and look at that vehicle to make sure it's available for you, but before I did, I wanted to let you know, okay? We have a few other vehicles that aren't on the website that just came in. Does that ever happen? Do we ever have inventory not on the website? Pretty much every day, right? Come and go, and there's stuff coming all the time, okay? So the reason for my quick response, I'm getting ready to walk out and look at this one. Before I did, I wanted to let you know we have this promotion going on. I have inventory that's just came in off the truck that's not on the website yet. But what was it about this vehicle that piqued your interest to give me your name and phone number? Was it the price, miles, color? What was it? Okay, so as I'm out looking, would it be helpful if I look for something similar to that? Or is it just that black A4 that you were interested in? Oh no, I'm looking because of the price and it had a sunroof, and you open up the whole funnel process to really turn it into a phone up at that point. Okay, the next thing that we see is, great, it's gonna take me about 15 minutes. Now I know why you inquired on that vehicle. It's gonna take me about 15 minutes to go out and make sure that it's here. Is this the best number to reach you back at? Okay, great, so we've just confirmed that we have the right communication to either text or call. And then after we make sure we have that information, I just thought of something that would save us both some time. Do you mind if I put you on hold for just a minute? I just saw a manager walk in, or I just had an idea, okay? We call it a pause break. At that point, you've got everything, you've taken the funnel, you've asked all the right questions, why they inquired on that vehicle. You've now put them on hold so you can check your inventory. You can see if you have anything that's not on the website or something similar that maybe just came in, that you're gonna be a professional salesman and really help them, right? When you come back from about a 30 to 45 second pause break, it's always great news. Great news. Not only is the vehicle that you just inquired about available, but I have several others, in black, in that price range. Whatever it was that they were their peak of interest, when can you come take a look, now or later today? When you hear someone do that properly on a phone call, it's like taking candy from a baby, I will tell you. We listen, we have dealerships that set appointments at 70% on internet leads. I would not believe it if I didn't see it myself. But it's absolutely fantastic. So when you couple speed with saying the right thing when you do get on the phone with someone, it's a killer combination. Okay, I won't go over a whole lot more. We have some flexibility that happens inside of our tool. I know that Paul came across this at NADA probably. One of the big buzzwords in the industry in the States is virtual business development center. I know you were talking about that. Was it Brian Pash or David Kane was talking about it. So we're doing programs with Epsilon, who is the marketing arm for Ford, and we're doing a program with Trilogy, who is the marketing arm of Hyundai, and they are all centered around a virtual BDC. Okay, now where this may come in useful for groups or smaller groups, or even, like we saw happen with Cambria, they basically set up their own overflow team. Okay, if a dealership was not responding to leads properly, they weren't saying the right things on the phone, they were able to push that lead to another team that was trained and that was a specialist. So we're gonna give you first shot at it. If it doesn't go well, or if it's after your normal hours or whatever the case may be, maybe you don't want to extend your hours, but you want to put in place a team that can handle those first phone calls to maximize that opportunity for an appointment. Our tool has been used by many groups to do something similar to that. Okay, so just how does it work really quick? I'll wrap up. I know that we're way early. Am I fired yet? Okay. All right, so how does it work? Our tool is pretty simple. Someone fills out a form, doesn't matter where the lead comes from, dealer's website, Marktplaats, wherever someone can say, hey, I wanted more information, here's my name and phone number, and they click submit. As soon as they click submit, we trigger a phone call to the dealership, okay? We set up routing rules so we know where to push it, desk phone, cell phone. Someone has to press 1 to claim it, so your customers are not going to get called unless someone's available to press 1. We read the lead information to them, basically, and then they hold the line and it connects out to the customer. So for today, they hear the customer's information in English. Mark's beating me up big time over that, but we're working on getting a Dutch version. It was easy to go to the UK because even though, they speak English, it's a little bit different, but it was easy to make that transition. We then connect with the customer. The whole process takes about 30 seconds. So let me just show you that really quick, and then any questions, we can go from there. Who would like to be a volunteer? Anybody? Easy name? Have a phone on you? Paul? So Paul, are you more interested in this, the Lambo or the Ford truck?
The Ford truck.
Okay. I took you as a Lambo type guy.
No. I'm some young guy, but nobody believes that.
So like that, or an S?
Yes, yeah.
And then your phone number, so 06398. Okay, so we're going to request information. Now this obviously is going to simulate what would happen if this was one of your leads on Marktplaats or on your website. It would trigger the phone call to your team, obviously. Okay, we don't take our team doesn't take the calls. So right now, Paul's a salesperson for this landing page, or I'm sorry, Mark is for Paul's request here. So we're going to request information. There we go, the lead just got sent. So there's the lead delivery right there. Okay, yeah. So that's how the tool works. That's how dealers are able to make a 30-second connection with an internet lead, is through that process. Because of it, you just talk to more people at the peak of interest. If you couple that with the right things to say, once you get on the phone and you don't say, yeah, it's really creepy, it rang my phone and then it rang you, and then you just blew it for the whole dealership. You didn't set that perception that, wow, these guys are on the ball. So that's how our platform works. We're happy to be in the Netherlands, and we're happy that it works here. It's only been, a few months of testing, and I think the first customers came on sometime just a few months back. So any questions on any of this today?